The following was recorded in front of a live studio audience at the Studio 21 Podcast Cafe. This is the United Podcast Network.
Welcome to the raw and uncensored Ambitchious podcast. I'm your host, the original HBIC, Katie Boyd. During our time here together, I will be instilling all of the strength, power, and determination you will need to use the very stones thrown at you to build your ultimate empire. We will redefine the word bitch from the derogatory to the acronym being in total control of herself. So let's adjust our crowns and prepare to live life ambitiously. Oh yeah, here I am, the original HBIC, Katie motherfucking Boyd. And over to my far right is the one, the only, the bald wonder.
Yes, the bald.
Matt Babine.
There I am.
And in the middle is my old gangsta friend, April. Yeah, you're an OG.
That's true.
April Renzella. We're going to talk all about April in one brief moment, but I just want to thank everyone for listening to the Ambitchious podcast. And before we get started on this wild magic carpet ride, I always love to read the iTunes Ambitchious podcast review of the week. And it is from Britt Pierce. And she says, unbelievable. Katie and Matt. She just threw that in there. She felt bad for him. Are out here living their
star of the show.
Okay. All right, settle down. I'm trying to read Brittany's thing, Matthew.
I love Brittany already. Go ahead.
Oh, God. Katie and Matt are out here living their best lives and so graciously sharing their spiritual knowledge and expertise with the world. Katie's real and raw and tells it like it is. This podcast has truly changed the way I look at life. Britt, thank you so much for leaving this podcast review. Email me at themisfitclub@gmail.com to redeem your free $100 gift certificate to use towards anything KBMFC related.
Thanks,
all right.
Britt. Thank you, Britt.
Thanks, Britt. Thanks, Brent, for throwing Matt a bone.
So true, so true.
So this beautiful woman in the middle of us, she is the fluffernutter in our just fluffin' bread sandwich. April, I've known her, how long have I known you? Over a decade at least.
I think almost a decade.
Oh my Lord.
I know.
That's so crazy.
I know.
So I met her through pageantry.
Mm-hmm.
Back in the day when people actually did pageants, it was like a kind of a thing. Now you just see it written on hieroglyphics on the walls in Egypt.
That's a good one.
But yeah, so we met through pageantry and we became like friends.
Yeah.
Because I don't know, every so often there's a few clients that I actually like. Just kidding. That I want to actually be friends with because we have like such a deep, I don't know, connection.
Yeah.
And she did pageants and she has an incredible voice and she's like, you know what, people, I want to be a professional singer.
That's true.
And that's what you are now. You want to tell them a little bit about yourself and your how we met and then how you blossomed into this country star.
Absolutely. So yeah, as Katie said, we met I think it was actually 2011.
Oh my
so
Lord.
I know we're coming up on that decade. You're
That
still
was
in Wellesley.
That was a rough year for me. That was when Wicked Fit came out. I met Matt.
Exactly. I was going to say Matt came in the picture there.
Oh
Yeah.
my God. That was a tough. That was a lot of drinking.
Longer?
You, I think.
Yes.
Get
Wait
out.
a minute. Who was it?
Get out.
I knew you before I know Matt.
I think so.
Okay, so she's a really OG because
Wow.
I knew her before I knew you.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
That's unbelievable.
I was
That's
still
an
in
honor.
Wellesley.
Yeah, you were
Okay,
still in
so
Wellesley.
you were coming to Wellesley to train with me.
Yep.
You were doing what pageant were you
Miss
doing? out here?
Massachusetts.
USA or America?
America.
Oh my God, okay, that's crazy.
I had some toning I needed to do.
Yep, we
so
all
I
do.
went to the guru. Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
really.
I was.
The guru. That's a good job.
I was like, yeah,
the
keep
guru.
it coming, April. Keep it coming.
And I think I trained with you for about a month, and then I was hooked after the pageant. And I mean, you've seen me naked a bunch of times
Yes.
doing spray tans.
do.
And I mean, we're pretty close.
I know every
so.
crevice. Oh my God, spray tans. Now you're really giving me a
I know,
throwback.
I know.
Oof.
So after competing in pageants and kind of deciding I didn't want to do that anymore and just kind of pursue the music avenue, I moved down to Nashville.
Crazy.
Which was super cool. and lived there for about a year. And that actually kind of ties into a bit of my story and how Ambitchious came to be such an important part of my life. So we'll get to that in a second.
Yes.
But I moved home about a year later, and I continue to sing up here. That was in 2016 I moved home. So I've continued to sing here. I do mostly acoustic duo and trio work.
And country.
Yep, mostly country.
And that's like, I mean, you can sing everything, but country is like your forte.
Yeah, exactly. I grew up listening to Leanne Rimes, Shania Twain, the Dixie Chicks.
Feel
I'm
like a woman.
obsessed. Okay.
I want a full leopard outfit. Do you remember that? She had the full leopard outfit and then the luggage.
That was awesome.
Yeah,
that was a lot.
Or that top hat look.
That was good too.
She's cool.
Yeah.
But then I also, aside from the music, I have horses.
Yes.
I've got 2 German Shepherds, which I know is
I
your
love German
your
Shepherds.
forte.
Yeah.
And then, and this also kind of loops into the story, but right now I'm a field marketing manager at Boston Scientific.
That's awesome.
So I've got like the professional businesswoman thing going on, and then I have the music, which kind of
you're juggling some stuff.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
it's awesome.
It's good stuff.
Well, you're like me. You can't just do like one thing. You get bored.
Oh God, I'd be so bored.
Yeah. Totally.
Yeah.
So, all right. So how do you think really, truly Ambitchious has affected your life so far?
So, as I said, I was living in Nashville. I moved down there with my dog and my horse. This was in 2015. My horse had an injury when he wasn't in my care. And so for about 5 years, like, he was my life. And like, this animal was the love of my
horse people
life.
are serious.
Oh my God.
Don't fuck with horse people. I've known some horse people in my day, and I'm like, you like all those horses more than every human on this planet.
100.
And they're like,
Actually,
absolutely.
I have an oven mitt that has a little girl talking to a horse, and it says, I hate people too.
It's real.
It is. No, it totally is. But this animal was my life. And he unfortunately passed away down there.
I knew that.
And it was, it was one of those things that I was coming up on a year of living in Nashville. And I remember I came home from Easter and was talking to my boyfriend at the time's dad and was saying, I'm going to spend more time down in Nashville now. I'm probably not going to start coming home.
Right.
And then I went down there and he was sick. And it was a 3-week process of being like, what do we do?
Right.
Is he going to get better? Or do we have to put him down? And my mom was awesome, and she came down and stayed the entire
awesome.
3 weeks
I
with me.
her.
And, it came down to like, this is your decision and you do what's best for him. And I decided that the best thing to do was to put him down. And it ruined the entire experience for me.
How could it not?
Because it was,
Jesus.
and especially, I'm such an animal person in the first place. So
God.
moved down there, didn't know anybody really with my 2 animals. And then to have that happen to such a big part of my life, it was terrible. And, they're different with animals in the South.
Yes.
And so he was in the hospital for those 3 weeks, and they thought it was weird that I was there multiple times a day.
Really?
Yeah.
Huh.
The hospital was always full.
Oh my
and
God,
there
I'm
was
a maniac.
I know.
I would have moved in too. I'm living here now with my horse.
Yeah.
You know?
Like Pearl ate a corn cob the other day.
Oh, God, yes.
And there was like every like 2 hours I was like palpating her stomach to see if she was
Where is
winching.
it? Yeah.
And Matt was just like, you're fucking crazy. I'm like, she is my best friend.
Right.
We called vets, friends that we knew
Oh,
that
yeah.
were vets.
Absolutely.
Holistic vets.
Psychotic. So I get it.
Oh,
like
yeah.
animals are
Animals
just
rock. We
Yeah,
love 'em.
Totally.
Yeah, and because it was such a drawn out process, really with vets, I didn't know taking care of my horse. It just tainted the whole thing. And I basically like ran away from Nashville. It was just like, I'm coming home and I'm staying
And that was
home.
your dream, because your dream is still to be, I mean, you are a star, but like
Thanks.
obviously we can all do more and more and more and more, right?
Right.
And that's your dream. So Nashville is the mecca,
Right.
the epicenter of the country world.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I came home, and that was kind of the first time I ever had to do some soul searching and be like, okay, well, like if this tainted me so much, like what is it that I want to do with my life? And I don't think I want to go back down there. And
Isn't it crazy how always bad things are the things that make you stop in your tracks and go,
1000%.
what the fuck am I doing?
Right.
Because if everything was hunky-dory all the time, you would never sit and go, what the fuck am I doing? You'd be like, everything's like rainbows and unicorns, and that's not how you grow.
Totally. Totally. So for about a year or so, I kind of floundered a little bit and was like just trying
Like
to
you were
figure
doing
out.
gigs.
Yeah,
and-
exactly. But like nothing was fulfilling. I had
Yes.
horrible anxiety surrounding the whole situation. And it was just like, I felt like I was just treading water, not going anywhere and just trying to figure out where the hell I was going to go. And then I ended up about a year later saying, okay, like I have a communication and journalism degree. And I said, all right, why don't I try to use that? Maybe put it to use, put something on the resume and see what happens. And I ended up working for a biotech company that is in the men's health realm. Never anything I thought I would like doing.
So funny.
And I loved going to work every single day.
That's awesome.
Good
So
job.
And we eventually got bought by Boston Scientific, but it was one of those things that I never thought I'd be an office person. It was never anything.
Do you like it because it's stable? Because that's like your stability, and then the music is a little bit like the
So I mean, how it kind of tied in is that with music, now I had this steady job. The music became something that I could be more selective of what I wanted to do.
Because before, did you feel like you were just like doing any gig that came along?
Exactly, because it's like, well, I kind of have to.
Yeah,
the dog has to eat this week. Never mind me.
Now it's more of a get to, right? To
Absolutely.
get out there and do your thing.
Exactly. Yeah. So then I started to narrow down like, okay, what is it that you actually want to do with your music? Because now this is something that you can do because it's your passion and not because it's your paycheck.
Yes.
So once I felt like I wasn't floundering anymore, then I kind of took a deeper dive into my life and figured out, what are the things that are holding you back and just kind of in moving forward.
Did you think a lot of the things that were holding you back were stories that you were telling yourself? Like why you couldn't do stuff?
Yeah.
Like I can't do this because of that, and I'm not good at this because of this, and that kind of thing?
Yeah.
'Cause we all do that.
Totally. Yeah, I mean, I think there were certain like anchors that I had that were just like, well, but I can't because, totally.
Matt calls that the albatross around the neck.
It's an albatross around the neck is right.
Totally.
Not good.
So I feel like I'm using this like, and then a year later
I
expression
love it.
a lot, but it kind of like,
but that's just how it flows, right?
Yeah,
it's like one thing on top of another thing on top of another thing.
It was just kind of blocked out in these segments. And so a year after I got this job and felt like I was really doing well, I ended my relationship with my boyfriend of 8 years.
It's crazy.
Which
I know. It's wild.
Huge.
What do you think?
Yeah.
Where did that come from?
You know what? And I will say that I have nothing but love and respect for him.
Right.
But it was a toxic relationship for a very long time.
And then, and in what ways? Like,
well, much like you two
are very toxic.
No. Not
That's why
what
you're
I
here,
was
April. Because that way she can't get
April's
her
like,
haymakers
call
around
a
you.
spade a spade.
But no, much like you two, I was trying so hard to make somebody else happy at my own expense.
Nope.
And,
not good.
Especially, after everything that I had kind of experienced with, the horse. And I was just putting all of my needs aside and being like, what can I do to make this person happier?
Yes.
And finally, one day there were a couple of things that happened that I was like, what the fuck am I doing?
Yep.
I'm anxious all the time because I feel like this person's happiness is at my expense.
Oh my God. So much fucking pressure.
Right. Exactly. And, there was a point where, I didn't know if I was being selfish because we all get to that point where we're saying,
maybe I'm a shitbag.
Exactly.
Maybe I'm being a shitbag.
Am I wrong for putting myself first?
No, you're never wrong.
You're really smart because you can't make anybody else happy.
Exactly.
You're not going to do it.
Exactly.
I'm never going to make Katie happy. Can we be happy together?
True.
Absolutely. But
that never makes me happy.
That's true. And I'm not going to start now.
Why start now? I mean,
Why start now?
There's so much
the hell
work.
with it.
But it's true. We light ourselves on fire to keep everybody else warm.
Totally.
And then we end up like burnt out and frazzled. And it's not doing anybody any good.
No. Exactly.
And you can't pour from, I'll use all the cliches. You can't pour from an empty cup. Mm-hmm. And I always say, like, when you're doing these things, like you're pouring from the empty cup, you're lighting yourself on fire to keep everyone else warm. It actually, in my opinion, it comes from a place of ego and never feeling enough. Mm-hmm. So you're always searching for the validation from the other people. Like, am I good enough now? Do you like me now? Do you love me now?
100%.
And that comes from, for me, that came from my childhood. Always trying to like make everyone happy because in my child mind, I thought if I can make everyone happy, everyone in my my house, everyone in my, in my universe will be happy because I'm happy and I'm perfect and I'm making it. And that's a learned behavior.
Yep.
And then those learned behaviors become your hypnotic rhythm in adult life. So then maybe something you did when you were a child. And like a lot of it for me, because the pageant stuff, a lot of it stemmed from the pageant stuff. It was like I always wanted to win the pageants and do all these things to make everyone else think that I was enough. And when I stepped away, as you did from the pageant world, and you're like, I don't fucking need this shit to tell me I'm good enough.
Right.
That's a huge realization, right?
Totally.
So when it comes from that place of ego, it's never pure.
Right.
Right? So it's like you love your boyfriend, you love these people. But do you really love them that much? Because if you did, you'd actually be saying, I'm going to fill my cup up first and I'm going to be happy first. And then the byproduct of everyone else feels good.
Totally.
Well,
and to what you had said as far as you can't make other people happy, one of my favorite therapy 101 quotes is like,
I love therapy 101.
Yeah, oh my God. I'm obsessed with therapy. But anyway,
more people should get it.
100%. But one of my favorite things is that you have to stay on your side of the street. And you can't cross the street to, help the other person get to. You have to just
you will get run over.
Oh yeah, really?
Like last night.
Really?
Oh my God,
we almost got run over really last night.
I was jaywalking.
I was like in the middle of the street, like
Boston and jaywalking does not go hand in hand.
I hope you looked at the car and was like, "Do you know who I am?"
Oh, that's what I did.
Oh, you did. Yeah. And
I was like, "Fuck you!"
And I was in a stance, like, oh my God,
and
we're gonna die.
And Matt was just like, Katie, you can't just walk out in front of the road. I'm like, I will do whatever I want. I'm ambitious.
God. She's happy.
I had 2 margaritas. But no, it's so crazy that you're having, and you were how old at this time when you were having these realizations?
25, 26. 26.
Yeah. We call that the quarter life crisis.
Yes.
We call that the quarter life crisis. It's actually a real thing. And it's funny because there is a book called 20 something, 20 everything. And anyone out there in Ambitchious land, get that book. It's awesome. It's all about quarter life crises because you actually, a lot of people talk about having the midlife crisis, but at that 25-year mark, it's like, what am I doing with my life? Who am I dating? What am I doing for work? Because that's like a very integral part of your life where like you could end up with that person you're dating for the rest of your life, right?
Right.
You could end up in this corporate job until your hair is gray and your boobs look like empty toothpaste tubes. Which I know nothing of. But that's like, it's a very integral place, even though you can always mid-course correct, right? You can always be like 40 and be like, I don't want to do this anymore, But most people don't have that strength to say, this isn't serving me. And that's where you were. So, and that
exactly.
But that comes from soul searching.
Definitely.
But people don't want to, especially like that age, because you have plenty of friends. They don't want to go inside and look at the dark shit because that's scary, right? Like Joseph Campbell, who's one of my favorite, he's like old OG of the spiritual world, and he says the cave in which we most fear to enter holds our greatest treasure. And the cave is here, and everything we need in life is in here, but we don't want to go in there. We always want to look out here, for the validation and am I enough and am I pretty and am I all these things? And it's like it's all bullshit,
right?
Right.
You had a powerful year, girl. That's awesome.
So.
Very powerful.
Really good.
Yeah.
Good one.
Yeah.
Because that 25, like you're saying too, if you don't make decisions that way, you could take it to the next 25.
Yeah.
Easily. Right? Those are key moments where you're making big time decisions.
So
marriage and all those things. You're right. Yeah.
So tell us what you're up to now. Like what's life? How is living life ambitiously for you?
It's great.
It's very bitchy.
So, where the podcast and the movement sort of came in for me is that, when I started asking myself, like, am I crazy for feeling this way? Or, there were certain things that once I started, kind of really honing in and listening, it was like, no, I'm not fucking crazy. Like, this is actually like
a real thing.
This
is valid.
Yeah.
True stuff. Yeah.
And so that really played a big role for me. And you'll love this.
Tell me.
I work remotely now. So at like 10 a.m., I have my like lit candle and my laptop. I've got the speaker and we've got Katie motherfucking Boyd's voice coming out of it. And like, that's what I do.
That's awesome.
And like, I'll listen to podcasts over and over again of the messages that really resonate with me as just a reminder that like, no, like you're good here. And this is like, you're on your right path here. So that's been important.
What's your favorite podcast?
Oh,
I don't know why I just asked that, but I love to know. There's
a
lot of them.
One that I listened to recently was about your fights. Oh, that was so funny.
Ambitchious Brawls.
So funny.
Ambitchious Brawls,
Because you know all that shit really happened.
Well, you
true.
talking about you sitting on the rock?
Oh, yeah.
It's like,
Watching him just drive and
I
torture
feel like
himself.
I'm 25, 26 years old again.
No, that's like shit you used to do when you were like
Bullshit.
18.
I know, and we're still doing
you fight with
it.
your boyfriend, you'd be like, I'm getting out of the car and walking home.
It could have happened last night when you went across the street. We could have had a brawl last night,
Oh.
actually, when I was thinking about that. 'Cause I was
Honestly.
trying to save you. You just let me
I don't need
save
to be
you.
saved.
Let me save you.
If I'm going to get run over by a freaking
trying to make-
jaywalker, it's
I'm
my
gonna
own
try to-
fucking
Let it
fault.
happen. Yeah,
Seriously.
exactly.
But not on my watch, and I was with you.
But you know what? I love the Ambitchious Brawls podcast too, because like I think that people look at me and Matt's relationship
Yeah.
and they're like, it's perfect because they
Yeah.
see fucking fake book, social media, and like, date night. And they didn't know like 5 minutes before date night, like I punched him in the balls. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Ooh, don't mention the balls
Yummy.
getting punched, please.
But
They don't
seriously,
even
we fight.
Yeah.
But that's what makes.
But it moves the energy, right? So
Yeah.
I know we don't hold anything in, right? So if we have a beef or whatever the case may be,
Yeah.
it's
Beef.
over.
Haven't
It's
heard
over,
that one in a while.
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. Well, and that's a key thing too, as far as if you have a problem, you can sit on it for a second and like let it resonate and figure out
Yes.
how you want to get that message
Marinate.
out. Like, hey, this upset me for this
Yes.
reason. I think I used to do that a lot of just like letting it build, and then you just erupt.
Well,
Do you know what's crazy too? I have talked to so many, I say kids your age, but whatever.
It's fine.
I just look at you because I've known you for so long. I talk to so many women your age and they have like serious relationships, and they'll say like, well, I didn't talk to my boyfriend for like 2 weeks before like I told him how I felt. I goes like, what?
Right.
If Matt pisses me off, and I think you're the same.
I know
We
immediately.
immediately, I'm like, that's not okay to
Right.
say that or do that or act like that or
Right.
whatever,
Right.
like it's unacceptable. And these other people are sitting on their shit. And I'm like, that's what causes disease, right? Because if
Yeah,
you're
and stress.
holding all that negative like shit in your body,
Not good.
it causes stress. Like you say, disease is dis-ease of the body,
Right.
of the energy. I think just,
Like that.
and if you're with someone and you can't tell them how you really fucking feel, you shouldn't be with them.
100%.
Right?
Yep.
Do you feel like that with your boyfriend? Like it was like you would have to like stew on shit for too long. And
Yeah, and well, I think a part of it too was I was afraid that like whatever I would say or be upset at would set him off.
Walking on eggshells.
Yeah,
That's even worse.
constantly walking on
Oh,
eggshells.
I hate that.
Right.
I've been there years ago, so
Yeah,
no.
it's
There's no
hard.
eggshells in our house.
no, I cracked
They may
all
be-
the eggs a long time ago.
They may be cracked on my head, but that's about it.
Yes. I don't want to live in that kind of environment.
No.
No.
And even with like any relationship, right? Friendships, working relationships, we've had really deep conversations over the years, like, cause April, I trained her for God forever.
Yeah.
And, I just don't want to feel that way. It's not like one of my core desired feelings is to feel like all contrite and,
Right.
tight in
Right.
my butt. I don't want to feel that way.
Mhm.
So I'm really proud of you.
Thank you.
Because I know this is a lot of work, and I wish that more women your age, because how old are you now, if you don't mind me asking?
27.
Yeah. Oh, wow. I was still partying my tits off when I was your age. I mean, I was working my ass off, but I was still
Right.
just a party girl. You're so like
good. He's a good kid.
Yeah, shit.
Unlike you.
April's the
Thanks.
April's the best. What advice would you give women out there in Ambitchious land who maybe are going through or have gone through or in the midst of going through the same things that you were talking about, like with the relationships and just feeling like, am I fucking crazy for wanting to put myself first before other people?
Yeah. Well, I think the first thing to note is that no, you're not crazy. Like this, you have to take care of yourself first. And it's interesting now because times where I feel like it doesn't seem like you're taking care of yourself. There's
Yes.
something you're not happy with something. Let's figure it out. Like I'll grab a pen and piece of paper and I'll just write and figure out and like what makes you happy. What are we going to do to get you back to this place?
Because anytime you don't feel happy, it's because you're doing things that aren't resonating with
Right.
who you truly are.
Right.
Saying yes to people, doing things you don't want to do.
Yep.
Ew.
Yeah, exactly. And another piece of it too is getting just any sort of negative energy out of your life. And I know you speak to this a lot.
Yeah.
Negative thoughts are just so bad.
And they're not even yours. They're not
Yeah,
even real.
Exactly. You take them from other places and then you think they're your ideas.
It's like the
but they're
broken
not.
record in your mind, you know?
So kind of to wrap up what had happened most recently is my position got eliminated at work.
Wow. I
Yeah.
didn't know this.
So it's I took it personally,
Oh, how
which
can-
is so easy to do.
Yeah.
And there was kind of so that negative thought sort of snuck in.
Am I
And
not
then
good
it was
enough?
like,
What's wrong with me?
Right. And then it was like, well, what if it takes me fucking 8 months to get a new job. I have a house now, so
Yeah.
I've got a mortgage.
Yeah.
I've got the horses. I have the dog. Like there's so much
Yes.
stuff that I have going
Right.
on.
You're not just smoking butts in the park,
Right.
having a dunk.
Well, not that I tell you that, but
I didn't know you owned a home. That's unbelievable.
Yeah.
27 years old.
She's
and you own your own
amazing.
home.
That's
a good job. That's
All I owned was
fantastic.
a purse, a Louis Vuitton bag when I was her age. That's
You're
it.
on the
probably
right
cost the
track.
same as my house. So.
Shut up. I love it.
That's awesome.
So, the big thing there is that if you feel yourself starting to get those negative thoughts, you've got to press reset. And you can't think, oh, it's going to take me 8 months to get a job, because guess what? It's going to take you 8 months to get a job.
So what ended up happening?
Well, so I'm in the process now. So
Because
but
when were you
just happened like 3 weeks ago.
wow.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
So I'm employed till July 31st.
Nice.
But now it's, I had a couple of days of like, oh my God.
Oh,
this
shit.
This is
Absolutely.
really awful.
Mhm.
But then I picked myself up and was like, all right, so now what are we going to take from our life that we want to, move forward with?
Right.
And what do we want to look for? And like, it's sometimes nice to be able to press that reset button and say, all right, let me start something new. And
Absolutely.
yeah.
I totally agree with that.
Awesome.
Yeah.
I love her approach, though, how she really goes and writes that stuff down on the paper. That took me forever. I think I was 40 when I learned how to do that. And honestly,
Right?
I mean, really. I mean, it's just so smart. And,
Thank you.
I mean, I know she gets a lot from you, too, Katie.
And
but-
how many women her
That's awesome.
age actually do that? Like instead of like setting up camp in the shit pit, as Sue Burho calls it, right? The shit pit. You're just like, okay, I'm going to give myself 2 days to eat shit and watch Netflix and feel a little depressed because that's normal.
Right, and important.
Yeah, 100%.
You have to
it's
grieve it.
grieving.
Yeah.
And I think that, so I'm from the camp of, like so many people are like, no, you just move on and you just go to the next. No, it's like sometimes you got to like feel your feelings, like honor that shit, grieve it, and then you pick yourself up out of the shit pit. You wipe the crumbs off your face and off your breasts, and you go back and you figure it out. And sometimes, as you know, the things that happen to you that are like the hardest things to deal with and the most like scary are actually the things that propel you to the next phase of where you're going to go. Because we hang on to so much shit as humans, like things that don't serve us, but because we're so afraid of the unknown, we're just like, well, I don't know what's going to happen. So I'd rather just stay here because this is comfy. Yeah. But nothing good, as you know, comes from a comfort zone. Right. So for you to be there in that mind space, like that's huge. And I hope that more people out in Ambitchious land take what April said and, adopt it as their own, because I think that sometimes this takes like a whole lifetime to get to the maturity, spiritual maturity and energetic maturity that you are in right now.
Thank
so
you.
kudos to you.
And the 8-month thing, right? When she says, well, it may take me 8 months. And she's like, where the hell did I pull that number from?
Yeah.
It's going to take me 8 months, right? So turn it
That's
into like, it
huge.
could be a week. It could be I may have a job for you today. I don't know.
Yeah. Well,
Right?
whatever you say and whatever you think becomes your reality.
Right.
So if you say it could take 8 months to get another job, then it's probably 8 months to the day you'll get one.
Exactly.
But she
It's
caught
crazy.
herself, right?
It's
Which is huge.
Yeah.
Not making the mistake. Everyone's going to make the mistake, but be able to redirect and pull yourself back. What is this 8 months thing? Where did it even come from?
Why am I even
right?
saying this shit?
That was so smart.
Where can people find you, April? So they can listen to your music and they can follow you on social media. They can go see you play live, because you play live especially for the people out here in the Northeast.
Definitely.
You're around all the time.
Yeah. And we have a busy summer, so that's exciting.
That's really exciting.
So aprilrenzella.com.
Yes.
Instagram, it's just April Renzella.
Perfect.
And then Spotify and all that good
Oh my
stuff.
God. What's your
too.
like favorite song right now to sing? Because you write your own
I
stuff.
I do write my own stuff. Favorite song to sing right now? I'm obsessed with Casey Musgraves. You would love her because
Really?
she's so like, fuck you. Like, this is who I am.
I need to know her.
Yeah, you do.
I need to
You
know her.
really- Yeah,
We need to hang out with her.
Yes.
We need to make a call.
Yeah. All right, cool. I'll work on it.
I don't sing country music.
Mhm.
Like I used to love country music when I was a kid because my grandmother used to listen to it. But I'm talking like old school country music, like
Patsy Cline.
like even older than that. What the hell's the
Oh.
guy that I always listen to?
Which one?
He's always talking about crying.
Oh, Johnny Cash?
No.
Oh, you said the old one. I don't know. Johnny Cash?
Oh my God. It will come to me like after the podcast and I'll be like, yeah, I need to get back into country music.
You listen to Johnny Cash,
Yeah.
though.
I
You
do like
it.
Johnny Cash.
Oh.
But that's kind
It's good.
no, it's
That's like jailhouse country, right?
yeah.
I was
Like
in
Folsom
the
Prison,
I was
like
in the
that's-
prison.
Yeah. Oh my God. Check out April Renzella. She's amazing. And thank you, April, for being such a crusader for the Ambitchious movement. And thank all of you out there in Ambitchious land for being crusaders. And like I always say, see you next Tuesday.
Good job, April.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
The views and opinions expressed by the hosts, guests, or callers of this program do not necessarily reflect the opinions of the Studio 21 Podcast Cafe, the United Podcast Network, its partners, or affiliates.